All righty, it's Wednesday night. We're live, and yeah, we are going to cover a few things tonight. Um, Hoping for not longer than 90 minutes. That will remain to be seen, partly due to whatever might happen during the demo, and so yeah, that's where we are with things tonight. So. Let me prep something here real quick. And okay, that's ready. Let's see who all is here tonight. Grish is here. Welcome. I thought it was clever. I didn't have a better topic in mind, so I thought, well, what the hell? I'm trying to lead up to a full length, in depth fog video this month, and so why not do a little foreshadowing? I guess you would call it.
Josephus
Is here. Just got done working. Hey, Alonzo, welcome in. Hopefully you have a good time doing whatever you're doing tonight. Glad you could stop by for at least a few minutes. All right, so as I've been going through my notes and rearranging how I want to do this fog video, I really feel like I need to start at the basics. And so part of that is how you go about the install of the base OS, right? Tonight we're going to use Ubuntu as an example, Ubuntu server specifically, because it's a server and so it doesn't need to have a graphical interface. And fight me, bro. I don't come from the Windows world of servers have a graphical interface. So, you know, just hear me out. Since what you're going to be using is Fog, and Fog has a web-based graphical interface, you don't need a desktop interface on a Fog server. And if you don't have it there, then it's going to use fewer resources and it's going to, you know, just run faster, right? Ubuntu server, my favorite. Is that sarcasm, Grish, or is that a truthful statement? So I will say I have done fog installs on Debian. I've done them on Ubuntu server generally. I've done them on some variation of Fedora or CentOS or, you know, Rocky or Elma or whatever. I find it to be easier, more straightforward, especially for beginners, doing it on something Debian derived. So we're going to install Ubuntu server in a slightly different way than you might do for other projects. But first, we're going to take a little bit of a diversion. little bit of a side quest, right? So just for the sake of argument, we are at 7,242 subscribers. I think that's a gain of like 4 or 5 since Sunday night's live stream. I'll take it. Hopefully it will continue to advance at this pace throughout the month. Now, as far as our current status on the poll, it's getting closer. Kill It is at 9%. Move It to Another Channel is at 41. 18% say move it to a bi-weekly schedule, and 32% say keep it as is. I have to admit, I somewhat regret putting keep it as is as an option, because I don't think that's really an option. I judging by the performance of the videos, refresh this. Okay, so this says 49 views, and I swear it said something else on the front. This says 66 views. So I don't know. But last week's midweek news has only got 78 views after a week. And 62, those two don't count because those were released just to members as single episodes. 85, 89, 65, 112. So they're not great performing videos. And maybe it comes down to the format. Maybe I need to be on camera during the videos. That would take longer to edit. My whole vision behind Midweek News was to keep it simple, straightforward, quick, and easy to edit as much as possible. And that's why they're the one set of videos that I don't appear on camera. And the last 4 or 5 weeks, I'm not even capturing video of my screen. I'm capturing stills and just laying them in there. Anyway, my gut tells me to at least try them on a different channel for a period of time. Worst case scenario, I could always bring the content back over onto this main channel, and everybody goes on their merry way. But I will say this poll has only had 22 votes, and I've got over 7,000 subscribers. So obviously people don't check the post tab. I keep calling it the community tab. It's called posts because YouTube saw fit to change it, right? Anyway, let's see what's going on in chat. Truthful statement: I always deploy Debian or Ubuntu, whichever is newer. Server, yep. Yeah, pretty divided. I'm a little surprised at that myself. I thought I had made a good case during the live stream for why I was considering doing something different with it. But the live stream didn't get all that many views. I mean, I think it's the last live stream got 67 views since Sunday. I think it's the nature of news. If someone doesn't see it for a week, they may not watch it. Old news. Yeah, I get that. I get that. YouTube doesn't like to show posts. That's interesting because I get shown posts daily when I log into YouTube. I don't know. Maybe it's the group of channels you subscribe to or something. I don't know. Okay, so let's jump over here. All right. So we're in Proxmox. Let me do that one. Going to be better. Let's do that one. I'll just go off screen. I've got Ubuntu 24.04.2. So we're going to create a new VM. Fog demo. And we'll select our ISO. We'll have QEMU agent. And this is what I have been doing differently when I've been installing Fog, right? Lately. So I'll give the first disk a smaller size for the OS. And then I'll add a second disk. And so obviously when you're using a virtualization platform, you can pass through a full physical disk. You can do all kinds of crazy crap with it. And that's not really a fog issue. That's a server planning issue, right? And I can't go through every crazy scenario that some person might come up with for how to install fog, right? So I'm going to put the storage disk actually on a separate solid state drive. And I'm going to start it at 120 gigs. So if we get to the point tonight where we're actually doing a demo, capture and deploy, this will be plenty for a VM with, a 32 gig disk, right? All right. So CPU, I mean, generally I give things at least 4. I'm going to give it 8 cores just because. And again, overkill, but I'm going to give it 16 gigs of RAM. So on bridge 0, start after created, and then we wait for our VM to be created. All right. There we go. Try or install Ubuntu server. Joe, I'm sure there's some I miss too on people's various channels, but I'll be the first to admit that I'm usually so preoccupied with managing my own channel that, if I watch a handful of videos a day from other people, I'm doing really good. Okay, so this again is nothing that is specifically fog related. And that's on 160. I'll make a note of that. So this is just your standard Ubuntu installer, right? When you're not using an auto install file. All right. This is where we deviate a little bit. Again, this is in part a server planning issue and not specifically a FOG issue. Since I'm using a VM and not a physical machine, I typically don't use LVM for FOG. But we are going to use the custom storage layout, right? Come down here to done. And this is where you've got to make sure you're creating your partitions as you see fit, right? We are going to use this one for our base. Use as boot device. And let's see, that's fine. And GPT partition. Let's see. What did I do the last time I did this? I haven't done this that many times lately. Reformat. Info. Okay. So we are going to do 28 gigs for root. We are going to do 3.99 for boot, for holding the kernel. And then we're going to come down here to free space on the larger drive. We're going to do this. And we are going to do 119.99 extended 4. Actually, throw Btrfs on there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say other. And we're going to do /images. And if you've installed FOG before, you know that the path for the images that are captured in FOG are stored in /images. Okay, so we've got root, we've got boot, and we've got images. So as long as I didn't screw anything up, say done, continue. Okay. Done. Skip for now. Install SSH server. Skip that. And it should do its thing, right? Okay, so let's see. I see some, but not all, maybe 50-50. That's fair. I too don't see posts, but then I randomly see one in my feed that's a couple days old. Well, and that's part of the reason that I did the little, I interrupt your regularly scheduled programming type message during midweek news today to let people know, hey, there's a link right to the community page, or the post page in the description, hoping that I would get more people to actually participate in the poll. We're at 22. It'll be open until the live stream Sunday night. And at that point, I'll capture a screenshot of it and I will delete the poll. So, David, welcome in. We are currently doing a custom install of Ubuntu server to lead into a FOGG install if we make it that far tonight. So while this is copying, feel free to talk amongst yourselves for a few minutes. All right. So, did anybody have a favorite story from midweek news today? Anything in particular stand out to anybody? Everybody got real quiet all of a sudden.
Josephus, are you still awake?
All right, let's see. Reboot now. And we'll come to hardware and we'll eject the ISO image. And it should boot back up here momentarily. Now, there are a few things I'm going to do here real quick. And then we'll talk about the FOGG install itself. But I want to get the latest packages pulled down that can be installed. I want to install a couple packages. We'll run the updates, and then I'll shut it down, take a snapshot, and then we will move forward. Okay. Let's see. Sudo apt install git curl and qemu guest agent. And then we're going to do the sudo apt update upgrade -y. So we'll get all the updates installed and then clear out anything that's left over that's not needed and just taking up space, right? Just standard part of my memorized procedure that I do for new Debian or Ubuntu servers when I install them. And I suppose I could have been nice and have done this from an SSH session, but sorry. When I do the actual video, I'll do this part from an SSH session. I'll do the install from an SSH session, just so I can have the wall of text scrolling by large enough that people could read it if they actually wanted to. Not that anybody actually will, right? Okay. So now we're going to shut it down. And we're going to come here and we're going to take a snapshot. Take snapshot. Task OK. We're going to make sure options, QEMU guest agent enabled. So we're going to come here. We're going to say start now. And then we're going to sit on the summary screen, because if it worked properly, then we should have the IP address showing here. And we do, in fact, have the IP address. Okay. So now we need to do the install process. So fogproject.org will lead us to the GitHub. And 1.5.10.1660 is the latest version from 3 weeks ago. I wish they would get 1.6 out, but hey, it is what it is. So we are going to copy the link for the tarball, and then we will SSH (160) into. Okay, you're gonna have to look at me for a minute. I need to edit a file. And if we do this, okay, now we're back in business. I have nothing muted. Oh, for crying out loud. Okay, now you can hear me. I was going to say, I've got nothing muted. Okay, this has to be some sort of screwy StreamYard issue. because I haven't changed my scenes. All right. Hopefully you can hear me now, because I'm muting the phone and I'm not going to have this damn thing buzzing at me all night. All right. So we're going to CD into the bin folder, and we're going to execute the fog installer. As root. Okay, so obviously, I need to move myself back up there. Obviously, we're using a Debian-based Linux. We're going to do normal. We're not going to change the network interface. Would you like to set up a router address for the DHCP server? We're going to say no to that because it should use the firewall for that. Would you like DHCP to handle DNS? Yes. I like to use the fog server for DHCP. No. 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 I'll say no to that. And yes, we'll continue. And now we wait. Okay. So I guess we wait now. All right, maybe we're not doing a fog install tonight. I don't have the patience to screw around with this crap. So I guess that's it. All right, well, forget it. Doesn't seem like Fog wants to cooperate with us tonight. I don't know if this latest installer has a bug in it or what, but I haven't had this problem before. I'll try to start this one more time. And if it still craps out, then we'll just call tonight. I don't think this is what I want. Something's changed. I don't know what's going on here tonight. It's been a long day. I don't have the patience for this. It's over. All right. Well, does anybody want to talk about anything else tonight, or are we just going to wrap this up? Because I've got no patience left for Fog. There are days I don't even want to make the video. So we'll shelve this and maybe we'll circle back to it on Sunday. I don't know. I was wondering that myself. I swear that's something new. So I don't know. I swear in my other videos it has not done that. But they could have slipped something new in, and that's just the way it is. So let's see. Let me refer back to one of my old videos, and which again, you should know that you. Let me mute that. Not that it's going to be a copyright strike or anything, because it's my own damn video. I am scanning through. Okay. Would you like to change the default network interface? No. Would you like to set up a router address for the DHCP server and set that to the router or firewall address? Okay. I don't know. Seems odd. What else is new besides fog? Not much with me. Yeah. I don't know when they added that internet check. Yeah, I got it, but I haven't used it yet. I'm not sure if I can even put my fingers on it right at the moment. That's not it. I'm not sure what I did with it. But the computer I've got the Jet KVM on is does not have a barrel jack, and that's the accessory I ordered. So I'd have to change some stuff around and flip flop what I've got on which computer in order to make that work. But I'm curious to do that some weekend when I can actually try it and make sure I'm reading the. Holy crap! Guess what? My cloud storage is almost full again. Report phishing. I'll take the email spam. At least it's not a freaking phone call. Those political phone calls this past election cycle were something else. And the constant SMS messaging. It's like, leave me alone. You're not in my state. I don't want anything to do with you. Go fly a kite. Yeah, the barrel jack adapter for the DC adapter for the B Link. Yes. Oh, so yeah, I guess there's not much else to talk about right now. I don't know what's going on with that fog installer, but it's been a long day. I've been up since before 5 o'clock this morning, and I don't have the patience to screw around with it tonight. I'm over it. I don't really care. There's not much news that I haven't already been through today. Let's see. Oh, I guess I could check and see if my phone has an update. I swear it was, Android 16 was going to come out this week. Or maybe not. Not yet, apparently. Oh well. Guess they wait another week or two. Let's see. Did everyone hit like? Yes, please do. I guess I could put this stupid thing up again. Hey, look at that. The one time in my life that my last name was actually useful for something. Is on YouTube. Fingers and legs are killing me tonight. Yeah, I'm not gonna run this much past the hour mark because I've got to leave here at probably just after 8 in the morning to drive up to Bath for a whole day of stupid crap that the library is sending me to. And I don't really want to go to it, but apparently they all needed a girls only day, so they kicked the token guy out of the building for the day. Oh, jeez. Wow. Let's see. Yeah. I'm just tired tonight. I don't know. With the heat and the changing weather and the crap in the air, I've been up early and I'm just not feeling it tonight. So this is probably not going to go past an hour and 10 minutes, hour and 15 minutes. Yeah, I think if you saw my Sunday night stream, Michael popped in, and he's like 2 hours older than I am. So actually, my dad, for whatever reason, I don't know why they kept this crap. So this is my mother's hospital bracelet from when she was in the hospital to have me. And then there's a stupid little card that says it's a boy, and then some other newborn bedside record. Why I need this, I don't know, but my father saw fit to pass it off to me for some reason. So, I guess there was an interesting story from the library today. I got hair on my microphone. So I got a call, I don't know, maybe Monday of this week. Last fall, a lady came into the library and she met with me, and she had a very small budget, but she needed a new laptop, or a different laptop, I should say. So, being the resourceful person I am, I said, oh, well, let's take a look at what MSU Surplus Store has. And we ended up getting her for like $120, give or take a few. We ended up getting her an HP ProBook with a Ryzen 5 2500U in it. And it had Windows 10 loaded on it. And I told her, I said, you know, because this was like November, December when this was all happening. I said, you know, Windows 10 is done in October 25. I said, so you can either run this out and then get another laptop that will run Windows 11 decently, or we could just wipe Windows and put Linux on it. And she opted for the Linux option. And because all she really does is play a few online games. I loaded up the live version of Linux Mint 21 at the time, or 2022. I don't know, whatever it is, the latest at the time. It was either 21 or it was 22. And so she contacted me on Monday and she said the computer's really lagging. And she said, can you take a look at it? I said, sure. You know, I said, bring it in and, you know, let's get an appointment. Made an appointment for today at 3:30. Had to rearrange my schedule in order to accommodate this. I was supposed to work 9:30 to 3. I ended up working 11 to 5. So I'm working at my desk today and she calls and she's like, oh, I've got another appointment and I'm not sure I'm going to get back in time to do our scheduled appointment. Can I drop the computer off to you? Sure. Actually, I like it better when they drop computers off because then they're not breathing down my neck or talking to me the whole time that the computer's doing its thing, right? Not that anybody gets annoyed at, you know, incessant questions about what I'm doing and how I'm problem solving something. So I get started on this laptop and yeah, it was lagging a bit. I figured, okay, well, let's see what kind of updates need to be done. And there were a bunch. So we went to I set it up at my desk. I was running it over Wi-Fi because I don't have an extra Ethernet drop to my desk. And I started the updates. Well, I got through the first batch, and then, you know, it's like, oh, well, you've got to go to the point release. So it was 22 that I had installed on it. And so I did all the updates for 22, and then I decided, okay, well, let's bump her up to 22.1. So she's on the latest and greatest version. So I did that. And then I started going in and retesting her games. Part of the problem with her games is they are like MSN games or something. And even on my desk computer, they were lagging. So there's nothing I can do on that. That's just a problem with their website. There was one local game that wasn't running right, so I removed that and I updated one of the other ones to the latest version, and so that stuff all took off without a hitch. So I told her, I said, you know, I did the updates. The likely cause of it lagging, at least the majority cause of it, was the computer was trying to do updates in the background. So we did all the updates. You should be fine. Use it for a couple days. I'm not in the building tomorrow. If you're still having issues, give me a call on Friday and we'll see where we need to go next with it, right? But Yeah. So she came. She got back to town from her appointment. She called. She called to see if I was done. I said no, not yet. I said it'll probably be another 30 to 45 minutes. I said I'm running the second batch of updates right now, and I need to do some testing just to make sure that it's doing what it needs to do before I would be comfortable giving it back to you. And so I finished the updates and did the testing, and everything seemed to be more smooth than it was when I started. And so that's when I called her. I said, go ahead and come back, pick it up, and I'll have it waiting at the front desk for you. So, I don't often bring up the idea anymore of switching people to Linux. This was sort of an edge case where she didn't have a big budget to work with and she needed a newer machine. And for the money spent, this was a good solution, right? So anyways, that was my story of the day. Thanks, man. Back at you. 20 years ago, doing that sort of work took me far less time, effort, and hand wounds, but not these days. I like the saying, no good deed goes unpunished. Yeah, something like that. When people ask me for a recommendation at work, I tell them to go to Costco, pick a computer, and buy some support extended warranty. Yeah, pretty much. 90 days return. Yeah, I mean, I've like I said, I've dealt with her before. She's a nice lady. She's a little older than I am. Doesn't have a huge budget to work with, and we found a solution to the problem because she was not really at the time when she got the computer last fall. She wasn't really in a position to spend $500 or more on a brand new laptop. And I certainly don't recommend anybody spending less than $500 on a new laptop. If you can spend $700, it's even better. Well, so you've got to understand,
Josephus.
The library is in a small town in the grand scheme of things. We don't have a computer store in town of any variety. They could pay through the nose for Geek Squad, or they could make an appointment with me and have me take a stab at it and, make a small donation to the library for the effort I put into it. Now, that being said, since nobody else on the staff at the library is capable of doing the kind of work I do, we have departmental donation jars. Basically, they're actually envelopes, but so if a person makes a donation for some tech work that I'm doing, then ultimately it goes back into a fund that I have some discretion over how it's spent, right? And whether it's picking up an extra solid state drive or doing I don't know, whatever with it. I could take the IT department out to lunch. I'm the only one in that department, but anyways, I I could get a really nice lunch for what I've got in the donation fund right now. So the long and the short of it is, we're trying to offer services that will get people in the door of the library. And considering that your local Geek Squad depot are a bunch of, 17 to 25-year-olds that think they know everything about everything and have very little patience, they're actually better off coming to me because A, they're not paying the extortion prices to Geek Squad, and B, I'm going to have a little bit more patience with them than, the little kid in the stupid Geek Squad outfit. So that's my 2 cents on that. Fortunately, my younger son, now 37, provides all personal computer support for our family and friends. I provided limited phone support as long as my son is doing the work. If you weren't there, those old people wouldn't get the help. I doubt all IT techs would make the effort. Yeah. My predecessor didn't. And, he had another job working for the state, and he was doing this job to make a little extra money. And so he didn't stay at the job very long. I think he was there from January to August of 2019. Don't forget the little Geek Squad cars they have. I haven't seen the cars lately. I've seen the vans more, but they used to have the stupid black and white Volkswagen Beetles. But anyway, so yeah, I don't know. Do I have I'm gonna have this set up. So I guess I could try to do one thing. If I've got the other FOG server still set up. This one. No, that's not the last one I set up because that's only got a single disk. I must have deleted it. Yeah, it's only got a 40 gig disk. I don't know. So anyway, and that one will probably run. Let's see what I've got here. See if this actually comes up or not. Because I could tie this into a fun demo, I guess. Yeah, the Beatles. Snot-nosed kid gets out. Tony has the same issue in North Carolina. Geek Squad will charge 4 times what he will charge to hang a TV. Crooked. Oh yeah, absolutely. And I've told several people. I said, the Geek Squad is as bad these days as a used car salesperson. They'll try to sell you something you don't need. That one apparently is dead. Okay, I guess we're not doing a demo tonight. I thought I had... Oh, is it this one? No, it's not that one either. I don't think. VM's 1. Well, we'll see what this is. All right, let's see what we can do here. I think this is the last one I had up and running. Let's see if it actually updates. I'm pretty sure this was the one I had Fog installed on. I could be wrong. Well, I did not install a second disk on that one. Yeah, I must have deleted that virtual machine. I don't know. I'm just gonna call it for tonight on the demo part. Godspeed says, I want to thank you for your Fog videos. I was able to deploy Fog server for my IT department and definitely helped streamline our PC deployment for Windows 11. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Comments like that are what keeps me doing Fog videos. Even when development of the project has slowed down to a crawl. I give the guys that are still working on it a lot of credit, but in 2025, some of the features in Fog aren't as useful as they once were. But I do appreciate that comment, Godspeed. That's very kind of you to say. I was, when I first started making Fog videos, I was in a position where I was using Fog at work. I was teaching IT courses. I was wanting to give the students some hands-on experience. And, it just happened that the place I was teaching was acquiring new laptops right around the time I was introducing Fog to the class. And so I worked with the IT manager and said, hey, if you want to save a few bucks and have the students image the computers, work with us. We'll get your sign off on an image, and we'll get this deployed out. Now, that being said, this was 2016, 2017-ish. Maybe it was 2015. Anyway, the way things were set up on campus, and you'll see this reflected in the very, very first FOG video I did, the one on version 1.3.4. But basically, in that scenario, I ran, I had a FOG server, a physical server, with 2 network cards. One was plugged into the campus network so that we could actually install FOG. The other one was plugged into a switch in the classroom so that we were imaging over a private network in the classroom versus the campus network, right? And it seems like I've done that same scenario in VirtualBox years ago, basically using an internal network and a bridge network, right? And it's one of those things that, and I know I said this at the beginning of the stream tonight, part of the issues, part of the questions that people bring to me, and part of the reason I keep referring people to the documentation and the FOG forums and the like, part of it is that people don't take the time to plan their server before they sit down to install FOG, right? So even the FOG team, the development team, recommends installing on a virtual machine. And so this next video that I bring out on FOG later this month is going to go through the install of Ubuntu server, but it's going to do a 2-disk install where the second disk is mounted on /images. And then if you need more space, you shut down your FOG server, you resize that disk through Proxmox and gparted if necessary, and you go on your way. But again, it comes down to scoping your server before you build it out, right? Likewise, there are scenarios that people have said, can you make a video on this? And it's like, I don't have the equipment to set that up, but it's really not a FOG problem. That's a networking problem. And, it'd be different if I were doing this and having it set up at a business, but this is on my home/lab network, and I don't have that kind of equipment laying around. So, and I'm not willing to take my own personal network down just to try to build some crazy scenario out for somebody that I've never met through YouTube. And, so, like I said, I just appreciate getting the the comments of encouragement to keep going with fog. There are some things that are easier to do than others, right? So anyway, let's see. And we have a couple of slackers watching the stream. They need to hit like. Comment comes right at the right moment. Jeremy was about to delete fog from existence earlier. Didn't know, just joined. Saw he was live. I wanted to give my thanks. Computer tech, and would have to manually set up over 100 PCs if it weren't for fog. Yeah, I'm ecstatic to hear that. You know, you're using it in a real life scenario. Unfortunately, in my day job right now, I work at a small library, and there aren't enough computers to justify setting up fog, nor do we have a place for a fog server. Even if I could somehow justify it. So, but yeah. Yeah, the demo tonight crashed and burned, and I think they made a tweak to the installer, but I'm not entirely sure. I'll have to attempt that again after I've had a good night's sleep, maybe over the weekend, and push forward. No, I'm not giving it up. I'm just drawing a line in the sand tonight, because it's been a long day, and you know, I'm at the end of my patience with trying to figure out computer stuff tonight. I've been up since 5 this morning, so and I didn't really sleep as well as I would have liked last night, so I just decided that it would be better for everybody if I drew a line in the sand and circled around to it later. So yes, that was very nice, and very much came at a good time. What's a day job? Yeah. Enjoy it. I took a hit earlier this year by 401k, so I'm not entirely sure I'll ever be able to retire. So, all right. Well, here I thought we were going to end at an hour and 10 minutes, but we're almost at an hour and a half, which I think is a good point to wrap this up. And I will be able to get a good night's sleep before I go do this training session stuff for the library tomorrow. I suspect it's 80% or more of it's going to be stuff that I've already seen. But you know, I just I don't know. I got nominated to go, so I guess I'm going. Oh yeah. Thank you, Josephus, for bringing that up. I guess I can just quickly jump over here. I think I'm logged into that. Maybe not. I just sat through one of their webinars today. Because I use Action 1 at the library as well. So let me get out of light mode because it hurts my eyes. So in the webinar today, they were talking about their vulnerability lists and the issues that were brought to light during the near shutdown earlier this year. But I really enjoy that this allows you to patch everything so easily, and don't mind these numbers too much. These are mostly lab machines and virtual machines that are shut down, so I don't really worry too much about the numbers for this. This instance of Action 1. The machines that matter are fully patched. The ones that don't matter as much. Make sure there's nothing that says preview after it. So at its core, this is Action 1 is a patch management solution. And so it will let you set up SLA levels. It patches Windows and Mac OS. They're going to be bringing out functionality for Linux later this year. Probably fall, if I had to make a guess. Maybe we'll see it in August, but I would expect more like October. If I look at their releases from last year. But for instance, if I wanted to drill into my endpoints in my lab, so this machine here has one non-critical missing update. So I can select the updates and I can deploy it. I can also schedule it. To run at a specified time, or it also lets you do automations. So you could set up, for instance, to deploy updates, matching filters. We'll say add filter, update type. We'll say security updates, and we'll say what was that? That was types and severities, critical, and then we can come in here and we can trash that, and we are going to say add endpoints. And we're going to say endpoint group, and we're going to select lab. You can also select individual endpoints, but then you can schedule this to run, say, weekly on Sunday at 2 a.m. So now all the devices in my lab group here, most of which are turned off. If there are security updates available, they will run every Sunday at 2:00 in the morning. But there's all kinds of things you can do. They've also got their own software repository, so you can deploy software to new machines, which is helpful. So, let's see. My 1-year retirement anniversary is tomorrow. Congratulations. I am just now starting to sleep well. Yes, there's free lunch at the conference, but I'm going to take a vat of coffee with me in the morning because I'm not really a morning person, and this thing starts at 9:00. Yep. I am very grateful, Chris, that you have hooked me up on this. And when you initially suggested it to me, they were only offering 100 free endpoints, and now they've doubled that. So, were you in the webinar today with Gene Moody? I think I figured out the answer to my question if you were there. Yeah, it's been a while. Almost didn't recognize you without the crazy avatar you had. So I had to change to an actual photo. Yeah. So they ran a webinar today. The Action One, the guy from Action One did, Gene. And he opened up for Q&A. And I said, why would a laptop purchased in 2025 suddenly get a notification in Action One for a driver dated to 2022? And I looked at it. I'd looked at it and looked at it, and I couldn't figure it out this morning. And so I posed the question in the chat, in the Q&A in Zoom. And he said, he'd like some more information. So I've got to contact him on Reddit or LinkedIn or whatever. But I think I figured it out. So yesterday, I had a gentleman that I was working with that was changing jobs, and he had to turn in his phone from his previous job. Well, he had a bunch of photos that he wanted saved from that phone. And to expedite the process, I plugged it into the laptop to transfer files to the laptop and then transfer them to his thumb drive. And it was actually a Samsung Note whatever. I don't know what the heck Samsung calls their devices these days. But I didn't get any prompts on the computer yesterday when the phone was actually plugged into the computer. But today when I opened Action One, it had prompted me for a Samsung. It was like a USB driver dated from 2022. And I just declined it in Action One because I thought it was really odd that it would want to install a driver that old. And Gene had mentioned something about, with devices plugged into laptops, it might prompt for a driver for a device. Perhaps that driver hasn't been updated in a number of years, but with Windows 11, you're going to have some sort of generic driver there from Microsoft anyways. So I think that's the cause of my confusion earlier today. um, it's not in the webinar today. Well, so it was one of the few webinars with them that I've seen where they had technical difficulties. The webinar started almost 15 minutes late. So, Gene is another Texas guy. He seems like somebody that I would want to go have a beer with, and just talk tech. I just get that vibe from him. I think the year of the laptop doesn't really matter, doesn't really attribute to a driver version date. Windows still uses plug and play mouse drivers from 2006. That's sad. The driver comes from Windows Update. My guess, the packaging for the driver has a typo. That could be. That could be. I just thought it was odd because I rarely see anything like this pop up, and it's like, no, I don't want to install a 3-year-old driver on a brand new computer. My webinar I was invited to at A1 was glitch free, fortunately. Yep. Yeah, that's the one thing I try to do almost every week. I try to go to their webinars, at least the first half of their webinars, because normally the second half is just a demo of functionality I'm using every day. So, I guess that's good that I've got to the point with this, with Action One that I don't need to see that demo every time, but some days I'll just sit there with my headphones on and let it play just so I don't have to get bugged by my coworkers. Not that anybody else in this group would do that, but I'll admit to it. There are days that I just don't want to be bothered. Unfortunately, tomorrow I suspect that I'm going to be one of I may be the only guy in the group, and if there are other men there, there probably will only be one or two others. I really didn't want to go to this thing, but they my coworkers and my boss said, "Oh well, you hardly ever get to leave the building," and blah blah blah. It's like, all right, fine, I'll go. I'll go. Not sure what I'm actually going to learn, but I'll go. I just figure the women wanted me out of the building for the day tomorrow. Yeah. Bending spoons. Oh my gosh, that company is, I think they're a joke. I really used to enjoy StreamYard as a product, and knowing that they're going to raise the price as much as they are in August, I'm done. I'm tapping out. I'll be moving more than likely to live streaming studio, and or talk studio, I guess it's called, and doesn't have all the features of StreamYard, but it has the features of StreamYard when I started using it 2 or 3 years ago. I can get by, not the end of the world. I was one of the first guest speakers on an Action One webinar. It was fun. Yeah, they've never invited me to be a guest speaker, but I just try to attend the weekly webinars generally. There was a dark period when the Minion was around that almost the whole time he was there, I did not get to go to one Action One webinar, but you know, he's but a bad memory at this point. I really had hoped that he would work out. So anyway, on that note, it's been an hour and almost 47 minutes. I need to call it a night so I can get a shower, get to bed, and be ready to go in the morning and do this 9 to 3 craziness and get it over with. And then I get to go back to the library on Friday. It's a dark moment in history when an Action One webinar is missed. Yeah. Well, when you've got a subordinate that you need to be that involved with, there were a lot of things that I was not getting done to my satisfaction when he was around. And you know, I just hope the kid learned something from his experience and that he will make more of an effort to ask questions at his next job so he doesn't continue shooting himself in the foot. That's what I got to say about that. Beyond that, I'm over it. I just don't want to relive that situation. Oh, all right. On that note, I got nothing left. I got to get some sleep. Have a good night, and hopefully I can get a video recorded after this thing tomorrow and maybe have something to release on Friday. Might just be a short or a couple of shorts throughout the day. I'm a little behind where I want to be on releasing stuff for the month so far. So hopefully over the weekend I will play a little bit of catch up. And on that note, have a good night, everybody.